Welcome back, everybody. So last time we worked on the item menu state. Let's just run this real quick. So yeah, we started the item menu state, scroll through whatever items that we have, and then we can use the item. If you see we have 1 HP, so we'll use the item. Bang, that gave us up 25, cool. So that's working. So in this video today, we're gonna be working on the equipment menu. What's the first thing we're gonna do? We're gonna go here, go to states, add, new. Equipment menu state.h. All right, this time we're just going to come here. We're going to need most of all this stuff. There's going to be some changes, so we're just going to copy this, bring this over here, paste it in. We don't need party. So we're going to need all of this, and we're going to change this. Equipment menu state. Cool. Get rid of this. Get rid of this. These are all going to be the same because we're inheriting from iState. So with this one, we're not going to need these. We're not going to use selector func in this one because we only have the equipment. We don't need the clear row. And I realized we didn't need the clear row in this one either. So let's go here. So instead, the clear row, I wanted to use that for the item description. So I'll show you here. So in item menu, I added this here. So we want to clear the area where the description is. We just want to make it blank in that area. So we just use the panel bar X and the length of the panel bar. These functions aren't going to be the same. So we're going to have a few different variables that we're going to need. So we're going to have a menu selector. We'll just keep it called the menu selector. And then we're going to also have another selector, and this one will be RenderEquipSlot selector, because we'll have to select which slot that we're going to be putting the item in or the equipment in. Then we're going to have another selector. This one is not going to be an item. This is going to be equipment. So we don't know what equipment is because we have items, so let's change this to equipment. Okay, so we're gonna have a few different functions here. Instead of draw inventory, we'll have it called draw equipment. It could stay draw inventory, but we'll change it to draw equipment. So then draw player info, we'll keep that. And we're gonna have another one, void draw stat prediction. Because when we hover over the equipment in the inventory, we're going to want to see how that changes our stats. If it puts our stats up, stays the same, or puts it down. Then we're also going to want to draw the stat modifier. And that's going to be at int x, int y, const std w string. That'll be the stat and its value. So int value. We're going to have the on menu select. That's going to stay the same. On item select, we're going to change that though to on equip select. It's going to be the same except for we're not using an item anymore. We're using equipment. And then we're going to have render. Oh, we need another one. Void on slot select, because what slot are we selecting? And that will just be a W string. And then we're going to have render equipment as well. We'll just call it RenderEquip. We'll have another one. Oh, sorry, we got to change this as well to equipment. And then down here we'll have void remove equipment, just a little helper function, at int index so right here we'll also put render equip slots int x int y shared pointer equipment. I'm hitting that E a lot today. And that also, we'll just leave that as item. All right, that looks good. These are functions that we need to override. Do we need anything else? Oh yeah, we're gonna need some stuff here. Now these numbers might have to change because I changed some sizing, but we'll just try it for now and see. So we're gonna have const int stat predict xpos. I'll just have that at 75. Stat val xpos, and we'll put that to 50, and then const int stat label xpos. I'll have that at 30, and const int stat label y pause, and we'll have that at 23. So I think that's everything I need. Nope, it's not. So we're also going to need another boolean here for the slot select, and if we're removing equipment. And we're also going to need to have and this includes stats. So we can get the equip slots. All right, so that looks like everything, and let's start building these. Let's go to the constructor first. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna have to do is initialize our variables. So the console is a console, state machine, which order were they in? State machine, keyboard player. All right, and then after the players, the menu selector. So menu selector, equipment slot selector, and then item selector. No, I don't want to name it that. I'll call that the equipment selector. Okay, so these are in here, but now we're going to want to initialize them. So for the equipment menu selector, we're going to want to give it the console, give it the keyboard. We'll just put it in our vector here. So we have a vector of W strings, and it's just going to be equip, remove, and oh, this needs to have this. And we're going to have another one for optimize. We might not be using optimize, but we'll see. And then we need our selector params. And that's just going to be 30, 15, actually no, hold on. 42, 10, 3, 15, and 2. All right, there's that. There's the menu selector. We will set the functions for this in our constructor. And then this one is going to be the same idea. We're going to have console, keyboard. We're going to do our bind functions in here. std bind. Equipment menu state on slot select. This. I think I do that every single time. So we need to have up here using namespace std placeholders. And we'll go back down. And we have another bind function. Equipment menu state, and then it's going to be our RenderEquipSlots. That's menu state, sorry. And this. We need our data, and that will be the player.get. Doesn't know what the player is, so we might as well put all our includes that we need. So we need player, we need the console, state machine, which I think is in the same, and we need our keyboard. All right, let's try again. Player.get equip slot labels, and now our selector params. We'll put these at 30, 15, 1, 2, and 1. So I wrote this wrong accidentally. This actually, we want that to be just a W string. Wonder if I can do this. Cool. So that's happy now. All right, so now we gotta do the last one here. So we need the same stuff, console, keyboard, std bind, equipment menu state on equipment select, RenderEquip, and our last, we need to have our data, and for that we're just going to use our player again, player.getInventory .getEquipment, and then we're going to need our selector params. Select or params, and we'll put this at 30, 34, 3, 20, and 2. Alright, those are good. So what else do we have to do? We need to do all of these, so we might as well just copy all of these over. Actually, we'll just copy everything over. Paste it in. Okay, so we got these in, and we'll just start exit game, false. In menu select, true, because we want to start in the menu select. In slot select, false. Remove equipment, false. Screen width, we're going to want to have console screen width. Screen height, same. Bring this down to a new line. Center screen. Get half width, and panel bar X. What did we do that for that function? Let's go over here. Panel bar X is equal to center screen width. We'll just copy all this. All right, and we gotta do our current slot. Current slot we'll just set to no slot. And then equip slots, we'll just set to stats, equip slots, no slot. Alright, so there's everything initialized. Now, let's set our selector func and hide the other cursors. So we're going to want to go M, menu selector, set selector func. std bind. We could probably do this in the constructor, but equipment menu state on menu select. This 1, 2, and we want to show the selectors by default, so we're going to want to hide the equipment selector and the slot selector as well. Equipment selector, hide cursor, and equip slot selector, hide cursor. All right, so let's quickly on our on enter and on exit, we'll just have m console clear the buffer here as well. There's nothing to do in our update. Nothing to do here. So first one, not draw. Well, I guess we can do draw first. So let's do draw. So we'll have just draw equipment, draw player info. We want to draw the menu selector, sorry. Menu selector. And then if not MB in slot select and not MB in menu select. This is where we're going to draw our stat prediction. And we're going to draw our equipment selector. Does that make sense? So we don't want to be selecting a slot because we're going to be filtering the equipment based on the slot. Same with, we don't want to be in menu select to draw these things. And then we're also going to have M console draw here. Oh, sorry. We're also going to need to be drawing the slots. Cool, there's our draw function. So our exit, we can just leave that for now. And let's go to, oh, I put that in process inputs. You guys probably already caught that. So let's just cut this. If you put it in the process inputs, let's put it in the draw. And we'll do process inputs now. So process inputs is going to be similar to the other one. We're going to want to be check to see if we are in menu select. Else if in slot select, and then if we're not in either of those, we'll be in the equipment select. So if we're in menu select, what are we going to do? So we want to check the keyword if keyboard is key just pressed, key backspace. So we hit backspace, we're going to actually want to pop the state machine, pop state, and just return from the function because we don't want to do anything else here. And if not, we're just going to process the menu selector inputs. So if we're in slot select, there's a little bit more to do here. So we're going to do the same thing. Let's just copy this. But we're not going to be wanting to pop the state. First thing we're going to do is show the menu selector. Show. And hide the slot selector. So we're hiding and showing the cursors. We're also going to want to say that we're now in the menu select. And we're not in slot select. And we're not removing equipment. Because we could be in slot select, but we could be removing equipment. So we just want to make sure that we're resetting that. And then we're also going to want to clear the buffer. We want to clear the buffer here to get rid of any of the pointers from our selectors and stuff like that that we don't want to see anymore. And if we're not hitting backspace, we are processing the slot inputs. All right, now the last one here is going to be the equipment. So it's basically the same thing. Let's take this, copy this, paste. So we're going to show the menu select, the slot selector actually. And we're going to want to hide. So we want to show the slot because we're going to go back to the slot menu. Hide the equipment selector. In menu still false. Slot select will be true. We're not removing equipment here. and clear buffer. And if we're not doing that, we're going to want to process our equipment selector. Alright, so focus on, or do I even have to do this? We'll just leave it. For now, we might not have to do it. Let's look at remove equipment for a second. So we're going to want to go const auto item is equal to mPlayer get equipped item slots at the equip slot at the current equip slots. Actually, we should probably do that first so you understand what's going on here. So let's go to on slot select. So for on slot select, this is where we're going to want to set which slot that we're going to be trying to remove an item or equip an item for. So the first thing we're going to do is get the slot name. And that's equal to data at this index. And then we're going to want an or an equipment type. And we're just going to set this to no type for now. We're also going to want to get armor properties. Armor type. We're just going to set this to not armor for now. Then we're going to have if slot name is equal to weapon. Else if slot name is equal to armor. Actually, let's go back and see what our slot names are. Weapons, headgear, armor, footwear, and accessories. So we'll do it in that order. Alright, so if it's a weapon, we're going to want to set our equip slot. And then we're going to also want to set the equip type to a weapon. And this one, this is an armor, so we're going to want to say mequip slots is equal to, we could probably just copy this actually. This one's equal to headgear. That's equal to armor. And armor type is equal to headgear. So that's why we want to have the armor, because the armor has more than one type to it. Alright, so that we can just copy this. And we'll change this just to armor. What is there? Oh, chest body. That's what we called it. That's still armor. armor type, chest body, footwear, it's probably footwear, equip type still armor, footwear, then accessories, armor's not an accessory, and we'll get rid of that. Else, we're just going to put an assert false here. Should be valid equip type. Include assert. And we're just going to return from here, actually, if this happens. And if we get through here, we're going to want to check to see if we are removing equipment. And if we are, we're just going to want to remove equipment at that index and send the data in as well, and then return. Else, now we want to create a filter for the armor. So we want to get the selected equipment types. So we're going to need a shared pointer of equipment, or a vector of shared pointers of equipment, and we're just going to call this selected equipment. It'll just be empty for now. And then for const auto type in our equipment. We're going to want to go through, get the type. Not const auto type, sorry. For each item, we're going to want to go through and get its type. And that is equal to item get type. Then we're going to want to check to see if type is not equal to equipment type. What do we call it up there? Yeah, equip type. Or the item is already equipped. We don't want to be looking at items that are already equipped on somebody else. We're just going to continue. And then we can check as well if type is equal to if it's equal to armor and the armor type is not equal to the armor type, we're also going to want to continue. Now, we should probably do that with weapons as well, because right now we're not going to filter weapons. We're just going to get all weapons in one. But if you want, you can just add in basically the same thing, where you're checking to see what type of weapon it is. And so we're filtering for only those. So if you want to filter for swords, staffs, we can do that as well. We might put that in later. And if we make it to here, we're just going to want to go to selected equipment, push back, item. Cool. And then here, we're just going to want to say equipment selector, set data to the newly selected equipment. And we'll have our ms current slot is equal to slot name. And we're going to want to hide the equipment slot selector. we're going to want to show the equipment selector, and then we're going to want to say that we're not in slot select anymore. Alright. So now with remove equipment, now you see that's how we're setting our slot. We can go back and do this function. So with remove equipment, all we're going to want to do is get the item at that slot. If the player has an item at that slot, it's going to be a pointer. So if you go over here, we're going to have a share pointer to equipment. So we're going to want to check to see if not item. We're just going to return. So if the item is null pointer, just return. Then just do item on remove. Remove from this player. And then we're going to want to set the slot to null pointer and then clear the buffer. Alright, does that make sense? So what we're doing is we're getting the item from the player, we're putting that item back into the inventory. So let's go to on remove and see what it does. So armor on remove. So yeah, each item has its own on remove function. So yeah, you're just setting on remove, you're setting your equipment stat value, all these things going into the remove function. You're updating your player stats. And because it's already in the inventory, we're just resetting the equipped value. Or let's do on equip select first. Now on equipment select is a little bit bigger too. So we're going to want to see if the index is less than data.size -1, or greater than, sorry, or data is empty. We're just going to want to leave the function. If we're going to equip in a certain slot and there's already an item there, we're going to want to just automatically unequip that item. So instead of having to remove the item and then equip a new item, when you go to equip an item, it'll automatically unequip it. So let's just say that if there is an item equipped in that slot, remove it. So const auto reference item, or sorry, equipped item is equal to m player dot get equipped item slots at the equipped slot. Then we're going to want to check to see if equipped item, we're going to want to just go equipped item. Did I spell that right? Nope. And we're just going to want to remove it. And then come down here, const auto reference item is the data at index. So we're going to get the item that we want to, that we're selecting to equip. And then we're going to want to get to player and set its equipped item slots at that index to null pointer. And then now set it to the item. So we're going to want to basically do the same thing with slot select and take these. But with this one, we can do a switch case. And we can switch based on the slot. Did I spell that right? Slots. Equip slots. And we're going to have a case. That's going to be stats, equip slots, weapon, headgear, armor, footwear, accessory. Chest, footwear, accessory, and then we're just going to do equip type, go to equipment, and we can just break out of that. Equipment type is armor, and armor type I don't know why it does that. We can just copy these. And then we'll just have a default, and it will just break. So after we do that, we're going to want to just check if not item on equip. So we're going to want to return here, but we can also put an error. Fail to equip the item on the player. You could put the item name in there if you like. Sorry, that's error. And then here, we're going to want to reset the selected equipment. We're going to want to remove that from a selectable item that we're seeing. So we can just copy this that we did down here. All of that. And just put this in here. And clear our buffer. Get rid of this. Give you guys some more. Sorry, I had that up the whole time. So now on menu select, this one's a little bit easier. So we're going to want the same check here. And then we're just going to want to switch based on the index. At case 0, we'll just put break for now. And 0 could just be a to do. 1, we're going to want to set MB remove equipment to true. And this one is a to do as well. Actually, I don't think we have to do anything here. Let's just say nothing to do. Yeah, there's nothing to do here because we just want to check to see. I guess we could probably get rid of our switch, but we want to have the ability to do the optimize, but we're not going to do the optimize right now. And then default is also return. So it's none of those values. We're just going to leave. And then we're just going to say MB in menu select is equal to false. Let's slide this down. MB in slot select is equal to true. Because remember, from slot select, we only really care if we're removing equipment or not. And then we're going to want to hide our menu cursor, or menu selector, sorry. And we're going to want to show our slot selector. Alright, so we might as well draw the stat modifier. So if, first thing we want to do is check to see if we're in the slot select. If we're still in the slot select, just return. And then we're going to want to get the data. Const auto reference data is equal to m equipment selector. Get the data. Now we want to check to see. Actually, we're going to get the data. We're going to check to see if the data is empty. So if the data is empty, we can just return as well because there's nothing to draw here. And then now let's get the index. Const auto reference. That'll be the index is equal to now we'll check to see if index is greater than data.size -1. And then let's get the item. Const auto item is equal to data at index. Then check to see if that item is equipped. And if it's equipped, just return. Let's get the stat modifier. Just check to see if the stat modifier type is equal to no type. If it is, leave again. Now check to see if the stat modifier type string. Let's just return. Now const std w string stat value is equal to std to w string. That modifier stat modifier val. String view would work, I guess. And then we're going to want to draw it. At x, y, and we're going to want to draw it green. So we're going to want to draw the stat prediction now. So we could probably just copy all of this and change accordingly. Yeah, let's just copy from there. Now let's get the current equipped item. So we want to get the const auto reference current equipped. Why do we want the current equipped item? Because we want to check to see the new items values versus the currently equipped items values, so we know if it's going up or down. So check to see if it's empty. Oh wait, first we need to create an integer. Current equipped val, and we'll just set it to 0. Check to see if we actually have an item that's currently equipped, and if we do, current equipped val will be equal to current equipped get value. And now const auto reference new item val is equal to item get value. And then we want to get the name. Const auto name is equal to item get name. Let's check the difference. So we're going to need int difference is equal to new item val minus current item val current equip val. And then after that, we're gonna need a color. So word, and we'll call it the diff color, and we'll just have that equal to white to start. And then we're also going to have a W string diff, we'll call it direction. Does that make sense? And that's going to be equal to an equal sign. But this will change based on the difference. So if difference is greater than 0, else if difference is less than 0, our diff color will be green. If it's greater than 0, we're going to set our diff color to green, and we're going to set our diff direction to a plus. And we can copy these. And if it's less than 0, we're going to want to set it to red, and then minus. If it is the same, basically, we don't want to make any change. Just leave it white and equals. And then down here, we're going to go int abs diff val equal to abs difference. And with our console and console right stat predict XPOS. Oh, we're going to need something for YPOS as well. So let's just put 1 for now. It's not going to be the right place. We'll go back and do that in a sec. Diff dir plus give it a space, std to w string, and that'll be our abs diff val, and then we're also going to have it with our diff color. So I forgot that we're going to need the Y position for the difference. So we're going to have to go, we might as well hold that as a variable, and we'll just put it as an integer, and we'll say diff position Y, and we're also going to actually need it for the prev stat mod pos. I forgot about that as well. So let's go back, and we'll just have our diff ypos start at 0, and then we'll have our prev that start at 0 as well. And we can go to our draw stat modifier, because we forgot to put something in here. Right here, we're going to want to have set that to Y. And am I supposed to do anything here? Console write X, Y, and let's just clear that area. Same with here. But this one wouldn't be your previous stat position. All right, so back up here. Now we're going to need our diff pos Y. Where do we set diff pos Y? We actually have to set that in on slot select. Right here. So right at the end, we're going to want to actually set diff pos Y is equal to stat label start Y pause plus the index. So we're going to have to create this constant as well. Actually, we already created it, so we might as well just, I think I just named this incorrectly. There we go. Start Y pause plus index. Cool. All right, what else do we have? Yeah, this is getting to be a long video. So we got 2 more left, I believe. Let's take a quick glance. Oh, we got a bunch more left. So RenderEquipSlots. So let's quickly come up here and just draw the equipment. So we're basically want to copy all of our stuff here. It's going to basically be the same, except it's not going to be items anymore. It's going to be equipment. There's going to be a few changes that we're going to make. So let's just put this into here. And let's change this to yellow. The blue is fun, but let's change it a bit. Okay. So all this can stay the same because it's very similar. Except our holders are going to be a little bit different. Let's get rid of this as well. So if you remember that site right here, I just wanted to go to this site, the Pajoric, and then get this equipment. So we're going to copy that over. All right. So let's open up our game menu state here, and let's include our equip menu state. Why is it not like that? Equipment menu state. Do this. Cool. And let's try to run this. We're not done yet, but let's see how far we gotta go. Awesome. Looking pretty good. Everything's a little bit off, but the idea is there. So we're not erasing that, and that's fine. So the menu size is not 27 anymore. And that's the equip size. And let's go over to equipment, and let's just highlight one of these. 52. Let's go back over here. We'll just change this to 52. Go back here. So we don't even need this. Let's get rid of that. I like how that looks so far. Let's see again. There's our items. Equipment. Our one line's still blue. So let's bring this line up a bit and change this line from blue. Right here. That one can stay there. This one, go up 20 and see. You're gonna have to make your own little changes and see how you like it. That's a bit too much. Let's go to 15. And 15 should be good. So I'm also gonna want to write a few things. So let's open this up again. Okay. So in here, this is where I'm going to want to have my slot select. Down here is going to be our items, and we're going to have our stats and stuff in here as well. So let's just add some more things in. Write in the attributes. And then okay, so now let's quickly draw the player info. Player info shouldn't be too hard. For this one, we're just going to need const, auto reference. We can just say name. I was going to say player name, but we know it's the player. So you go to m, player, got get name. And then we're going to want to go this at 12. I don't know if that's going to be the right place, but let's just take a look. We should already be drawing info anyway. And our draw function, draw player info, cool. Let's see what we got. Cool, so test player is right there, right in the center. That's where I want it. I like it. Attributes. Cool. All right, now we're gonna wanna get all the stats. So we're gonna wanna get the stat list. So that's just another const auto reference stats list equal to m player.get stats. Get stat list, and then we can go int I is equal to 0 for const auto, and we're going to want to do a structured binding here. So stat value in stat list, stats list. Because if you remember, the stat list is just an unordered map. And then we're going to go const auto reference mod value is equal to m player get stats get modifier at this particular stat. If you remember, the get modifier function takes in a string, which is the key to the actual value. So we want to get that value, and we want to go m console dot write at stat label xpos stat label start ypos plus I at stat. So we want to be writing the stat here, and that would just be the string name of the stat. And we're going to want to draw the value. At the val xpos stat label start ypos plus I std2w string value plus the mod value. Then we're going to want to go with draw stat modifier as well. And then I++. And I think that's good. Okay, so let's run it. So we're not rendering the slots right now, but if you see, we are getting our attack, our defense, and some that's a +3 for whatever we have equipped right now. We should be rendering these. I'm not sure why we're not. So that's all we're going to do for today. So why don't you, for homework, go over the functions that we didn't cover today. What did we not do? We didn't do, yeah, so that's why we're not rendering the equip slots. So do the render equip slots and render equipment. So basically you're going to want to get the equipment from the inventory, and it'll be a filtered equipment, and you're going to want to render that equipment. So, and then same with the slots, you're just going to want to render the slots. you have the tools from the previous lessons to be able to try this. And if you can't do it, don't worry. In the next video, we're going to cover it. And all right, that's enough for today. We'll cover this and then hopefully get into the status menu after that. Thanks for watching.